Hello class, and welcome to our second day. Now that you have completed homework 1, it should be easy for us to create an outline for a formal critique essay for the show Supernatural. Today we will take a look at how to take the next few steps in that process. Step 1. Use your ideas from homework 1 and the critique outline to create an outline of Supernatural. Make sure to add at least one sentence for each idea in the outline. Try to use examples of things in the show for each of your criteria. Do not add too much information into this outline. One sentence per idea should be enough. Try to remember this outline is only for practice. Step 2 is for you to write an introduction for your critique of Supernatural. Carefully consider what information you'll need to create a professional level critique of the show. What ideas from your outline do you think you will need to include in your introduction? Should you talk about the creators of the show or the main characters? How much of the show's plot do you need to summarize in the introduction? As you write your introduction, be mindful of a concept that we talked about last semester, the 7 rules of an introduction. An introduction must target the correct audience in the first sentence or two. It must pique the real interest of the reader. It must identify the topic. It must identify the reason behind the controversy or argument about the topic. In this case, it's whether or not the show Supernatural is a good show or a good representation of its genre. It must identify the counterposition. It must identify your position as well. Finally, it needs to summarize your argument and your thinking, the ways that you have judged the show and why you chose those ways to judge the show. The reason why we're putting such an emphasis on all of the things you need to include in the introduction is because the introduction is the most important part of the paper. This is where you will either lose the reader or you will capture the reader for the entirety of everything that you've written. Now that you have written your introduction, it's time for us to move on to the next step. Step 3 is creating a solid conclusion that will leave the readers feeling satisfied and not allowing them to walk away with any question about the way that you feel about the show, areas or qualities of how the show could improve and why you feel that they could improve in that way, and whether or not the show matches the genre it is attempting to, and whether or not the show will be right for them. Once you have completed writing your introduction, your outline, and your conclusion for your critique of Supernatural, make sure to upload it to your study group for discussion.